Let's start then. Okay. So good evening, everyone. Welcome to the demo session of mastering performance testing with JMeter tool. So in this demo, right, I'm going to discuss about these topics. Like I'll start discussing about the project discussion part. Once the project discussion got completed, we'll see what happens once the application is live, and also I'll give you some standard definition of like what is performance testing. Most of you already know that, but on a high level. And we'll try to cover the performance testing life cycle also on a high level again. So once after that, I'll go to the course content. So then we'll go with the Q&A session as a final part. So this is the complete agenda of today's demo session. Okay, so let's start with the project discussion. So most of you already know like how the project will start and other things. So obviously we'll discuss it in a more quick way instead of wasting time over here. So once like let us say www.flipkart.com. So this is the URL of our, this is the website URL of Flipkart company, right? So who developed that Flipkart application? So some X company. Let us assume like some TCS. Okay, let us assume like TCS company. Okay, they developed that Flipkart application. Okay, that Flipkart website. So what the process will happen? How they developed it? So that we need to understand on a high level first. So first that Flipkart company team, right? So we are going to call that Flipkart company team as the client for TCS. So this Flipkart company team, they will approach one software company. They will approach multiple companies and they will take all the quotations and other things. At the end of the day, which quotation is good and which company is good based on the name and the cost, all the things. Okay, this Flipkart company team, they are going to give the project to that particular software company. So this Flipkart company for that X software company is a client. Okay. So we know, like we should know this. So this Flipkart company is the client of some X software company. So once the project got decided and finalized, then who are going to interact with the client? That is very, very important. They have some proper visions and goals. Okay. And they have some business objectives. So with those business objectives and visions and goals, they are going to reach our company, and from our company two members, I can say like two teams, okay, will go and interact with the client. So the first team that is going to interact with the client is business analyst team as well as the project manager. These two guys, okay, they will interact with the client on the first meet. Okay, they will discuss, they will get some information from the client regarding their vision and goals and regarding their business objectives. So once after getting that information, what this business analyst will do is, this business analyst is going to have the clear picture of that particular domain. So whatever the domain that particular website is related to, right, or that particular company is related to, so he is going to have the complete knowledge on that particular domain. So such kind of business analyst we need to choose. For example, if the company is the retail company, then we are going to choose the business analyst who is having good exposure on the retail company. Okay, so in that way, our company will choose the proper business analyst. So the project manager, along with the business analyst, they are going to sit with the client and they are going to discuss on the different inputs, whatever that they want to get it from the client. And finally, this business analyst, he is going to prepare the key deliverables as well as is going to prepare the workflows and specifications. So once the key deliverables is got prepared and once the workflows and specifications got prepared, then he's going to give that input to the UI UX team. So UI UX team is nothing but your front end team. So UI is nothing but user. Sorry, one second, guys. Someone is trying to log in. So UI UX is nothing but user interface and user experience team. So what this team will do is they are going to design the front end of your application. So by taking the inputs from the business analyst, they are going to use wireframes and mockups. Okay, and they are going to create they are going to follow some user experience principles, and they are going to create the front end of the application. So that application front end, they are going to show it to the project manager as well as the client, and they are going to give some demo about that particular front end part to the client. Once the client got satisfied with the front end screens, Okay, then he's going to say he's going to give his approval from his end. Then immediately this business analyst, what he will do is he will interact with the development team. So here the developers will come into the picture, and they are going to create the technical architecture. They are going to provide the timelines and milestones of the development stage. Okay. And whatever the challenges that they are going to face, they are going to take it into the consideration, and they are going to provide the milestones accordingly. And finally, they will develop the backend code for this front end, whatever the UI UX team got developed. So in this way, one project is going to be developed here, right? So once the development got completed, then immediately that particular code, they are going to give it to the QA team. QA team is nothing but quality analyst, right? So QA team, they are going to take that particular code in the form of a build, and that build, they are going to deploy it in their servers, and finally they'll start doing the testing. So most of the times, like we'll go with the functional testing and non-functional testing. These are the two types of testings that every company will do. Okay, so when it comes to the functional testing, everyone knows like functional testing is nothing but testing the functionality of the application, whereas non-functional testing is nothing but you are going to verify, or you are going to see, or you are going to test how the application is going to behave. Okay, and how the resources are being consumed, and how the application response times are, right? These are all will come under the non-functional type of testing. We'll discuss more about this part going forward. So once the development got completed, that build is going to be given to the QA team, and QA team is going to start doing the functional testing. And once the functional testing got completed, then we'll provide the uh, test closure document from our end. Then once the client says like it is good, then he'll start the UAT. If everything is good, then obviously the DevOps team will come into the picture, and they will move this particular UAT code to the production. Okay, and in the production, the application is going to be deployed. So this is what on a high level how the project like is going to start, and how the development is going to start. Like which particular team is going to do which particular work over here. Okay, so most of you already know this. If you still have any questions on this, please feel free to ask here. So if you are being silent means I can understand like it is clear. Okay, so I'll move to the next step. Okay, so again, most of you know like which methodology we are going to follow, right? In most of the companies, which methodology they're going to follow? Anyone can answer this? Is it waterfall methodology, or any other methodology? This is not this one. I'm asking about like most of the companies will follow which methodology. It's for like most of the companies will follow the agile methodology, obviously, right? So in agile methodology, we know like there will be the total work is going to be divided into sprints, and for each and every sprint, obviously the development, testing, everything should be done, and finally we are going to show some output related to that particular sprint to the client, and we are going to get approval from the client, right? If anything we are missing, we'll move it to the next sprint. Okay, and we are going to work on that as a priority first, and then we'll work on the remaining parts that are there in the second sprint. So like that, in sprint wise manner, the work is going to be handled in every company. Okay, this is the basic flow that each and every software company will follow, right? So here, like once the application got developed and deployed in the production, right, then what will happen? Okay, once the application got deployed in production, then obviously we know like once the application got deployed, so most of the like every application, they will simply host it either in the on premises, okay, on prem, or on the cloud infrastructure. Okay, on prem or on the cloud infrastructure. So what is meant by on prem, what is meant by cloud infrastructure? Anyone, please? On prem means Our total servers are there in some physical location, right? Cloud infrastructure means we are going to take help of cloud websites like AWS, okay, Azure or GCP, and we are going to have our servers, okay, on that cloud. Okay, nowadays everyone they are moving from on-prem to cloud. So they are migrating their servers from on-prem to cloud. So they have like a lot of constraints when they are working with on-prem servers. So that is the reason why they are choosing the cloud servers right now. So as it is more popular and it is very flexible, right? So once the application got deployed, so let us assume like initially they deployed that particular application on the on-prem servers. Okay, whatever that they have. So that place we are going to call it as the central server, or we can call it as a data center. Okay, so DC data center is the place where our application is going to host. Okay, so obviously in the data center, multiple servers will be there. Okay, so whenever a user is going to access, end user is going to access that application, so that user will send the request to the server and the server will give the response back. So this is the general process, what will happen. So when like let us say when some 10,000 users are accessing this application, okay, so everything is going fine. Like immediately, because of some flash sale, okay, or because of some big billion day sale, okay, instead of like 10K, some 100K people access this application, right? So I'm just talking about the on-prem infrastructure right now. Okay. So instead of 10K people, what happened? Like 100K people access this application. So because of that on-prem infrastructure, right? So what the exact issue that they have observed is they have observed some server overload issues and the application got crashed after some time. Okay, so they tried to add a few more servers, okay, the replica of servers on on-prem, but it took some time to turn on those servers or to make the servers up. So because of some issues, okay, uh, like uh, because of the CPU, RAM, okay, and other issues, right? Obviously, these servers got overloaded and they are unable to handle this much of user load, right? So obviously servers will crash, right? Once the server got crashed, the users are not going to get any response from the server and they are not going to visit that website again. So this is what generally will happen, right? So that is the reason why whatever may be the application, right? If there is a basic thing like if more number of users are accessing that application, then obviously we need to suggest the client that go for performance testing for such kind of applications where more users are accessing that application, right? So where more user load is expected. So that kind of testing we need to do it for sure. Like what is performance testing now? So on a high level, I'm just going it on a high level, guys. So just don't think in a different way. As you guys already know all these things, as you have attended a lot of demos by this time, right? I just don't want to go and tell the same concepts again, right? So that's the reason why I'm just going somewhat quickly. Okay. If you have any concerns, as I mentioned, please feel free to stop me. Okay. So this is what is going to happen once the application is live, right? So when more number of users are accessing the application servers are going to overload and finally it is going to crash, right? So that is the reason why we are going to do the performance testing, right? So performance testing is nothing but like it is going to measure how fast, stable and scalable your application is under different conditions, right? Under different load conditions, for example, in this case, right? So if some 100 users are accessing this your application, how your application is behaving, how your application servers are behaving. Okay. So how your application server usage is. Like for example, if server is nothing but we know like it's a again a hardware machine, right? So in that we are going to have one operating system. Obviously, whenever if we have one hardware machine, that hardware machine will have some CPU, okay, like RAM, okay, as well as some hard disk. So these are the three basic things, right? So obviously, once if you deploy one operating system on that hardware, it is going to consume that operating system will consume some of your hardware devices resources like your CPU memory as well as your hard disk related resources. So once the application got hosted on that on that particular server, and more number of users are sending the request to the server, obviously your CPU RAM will increase, right? So on a high level, while doing the performance testing, what we are going to verify is we are going to put high user load on the application, and at the same time we are going to verify how the application behavior is in terms of the response times, in terms of the CPU usage, in terms of the memory usage, right? In terms of the disk as well as the network usages, and how fast we are getting the response. And even though we are increasing the load, right? Whether my application is stable or not, right? If I'm increasing the load more than expected, right? Whether my servers are scalable or not, right? Whether my servers are able to handle that user load or not. Those things we are going to verify here as a part of performance testing. So that is what the performance testing is. So if you take a general example, like before launching one particular car on road, so we are going to verify the car speed, fuel efficiency, and durability, right? So that is what the performance testing in terms of a general terminology, I can say. Okay. And who is going to handle this performance testing process means obviously QA team is going to handle this performance testing process, quality assurance team. And a main thing is we are not doing the functional testing here. So we are least bothered about uh, the functional part here. But like I'm not going to say like least bothered. Why? Because it is the headache of the functional team. Okay, functional testing team. So they will do the functional testing, and once every issue got resolved, right? So then they are going to ask us to do the performance testing. That is what the general expectation. But in real time, it is not going to happen, obviously. But the general expectation is once the functional testing got completed successfully, then only we are going to start the performance testing. So that is the reason why we are least bothered about the bugs. Okay. Why? Because by that time when we are going to test, right, all the bugs are going to be resolved, right? So that is the reason why we are least bothered about the bugs, but we are going to keep our concentration on performance bottlenecks. Okay. So what are bottlenecks and what are the different types of bottlenecks that are there, right? So and in each and every type, like what are the main types, what are the main bottlenecks that we need to look into? Those things we'll slowly learn as a part of this training. Okay, but on a high level, our concentration we should keep it on the performance bottlenecks. So which is going to cause our application degradation. Okay, so this is what is performance testing on a high level. Okay. Again, I'm going to discuss more deeply in our training part, but not on the performance testing part, but whatever the bottlenecks, client side, server side bottlenecks, okay, those things for each and every type we need to discuss. Okay. So that we'll do it in our training. Okay. So till now, any questions, please feel free to ask. If not, I'll jump into the next part. It may be like you may feel like somewhat quickly I'm covering these things, but I just want to, as you know, right, these are all the basics. I just want to cover it somewhat quickly. Any questions? Okay. Considering that as no, let me proceed to the next slide. So obviously why we need to do the performance testing. So no one likes the slow websites, right? So obviously if slow website is slow, if there is a bad performance from the website, we are going to lose the users as well as the revenue. So obviously we should not look into that kind of behavior from our application. So that's the reason why performance testing is so important for any application where the expected like where we have more than the expected user load on that application. Okay. So with this basic part, we'll try to jump into the next step, that is the performance testing life cycle. Right. As you guys are already working on performance testing, right? Most of you know this topic called performance testing life cycle, that is PTLC, right? So total how many stages are there in the performance testing life cycle? Anyone? Total how many stages are there? Or at least you can tell me like from what is the first stage of the performance testing life cycle? NFR gathering. Yeah, first stage. Just let's start with the first stage. Okay, first stage, someone is saying like NFR gathering. Okay, is it acceptable, guys? Is it the first stage? Can we consider that as the first stage of the performance testing life cycle process? So most like 90, so 99% of the times everyone will say like requirement gathering part, NFR is the first stage, non-functional requirement gathering is the first stage of the PTLC. But what I will say is like first stage, we need to always talk about the risk assessment. Risk assessment, I can say it as the first stage of the performance testing life cycle process. How many of you heard about this risk assessment stage? Anyone heard about this risk assessment stage? What we'll do in the risk assessment stage? Before gathering the sorry, critical functionality as well as critical business scenarios. Okay, critical business scenarios. Okay, next. Yeah, why we need to do the performance testing for this application? Yeah. So in the risk assessment stage, as few of you mentioned, like we are going to first identify why first we need to think like why we need to go for the performance testing of this application. Okay. So in order to identify that, like in order to understand that, we need to have some team evaluation. We need to connect with business analysts. We need to connect with developers, right? And we need to understand what exactly the client requirement is, and based on that we need to identify the critical functionalities of that application. Okay, and finally we need to get the critical business scenarios. We need to identify which flows we need to test as a part of this performance testing. Okay, so which flows are there under this critical functionalities, right? Where we need to also identify like which particular flows most of the users can access. Okay, once the application got developed, most users will access which particular flows. So those things we need to identify. Along with that, we need to identify the risk as well as mitigation also, which is very, very important. So while doing the performance testing, what are the risks that we may expect, and how we need to mitigate that particular risk? Okay. So those things we need to identify in the risk assessment stage. So this is not only related to the flows, but on the server side, on the server wise, like on the front end, on the client side, what are the issues that we may expect? On the server side, what are the issues that we may expect? On the front end, what are the issues that we may expect? On the back end, okay, on the database side, what are the issues that we may expect, right? Or the risks that we may expect, and what are the mitigations for that? So that we are going to do it as a part of risk assessment stage. Okay, I'll take one complete 1 hour session on this performance testing lifecycle process going forward. And in that, I'll discuss about more number of points related to risk assessment. But on a high level, as this is a demo session, I'm giving you some high level overview of what is risk assessment. And once this particular performance testing lifecycle process, if you are able to understand and if you are able to create each and every document in each and every stage that is required, then our performance testing process is done. We are going to follow the same process throughout our training part also. Okay. So once the risk assessment stage got completed, then what is the next step that we are going to do? What is the next stage after this risk assessment? Re- Requirement gathering. But before going to the requirement gathering, like some companies, they will do POC, right? First, they will do POC. What is this POC? Proof of concept. So what generally we'll do in the POC part? Mm, somewhat it is right, but on a high level, I can say like tool identification. Finally, at the end of the stage, right, we are going to do like tool identification here. So let us say some project is there already, like it is some website is already in production. Okay, so we got some requirement to do the performance testing of that particular application. Then we have lot of tools that are available in market, performance tools we have available in market, right? JMeter, Load Runner, NeoLoad, Gatling, right? So like that, lot of tools are available in market. Which tool is suitable for our application? That we need to identify, right? So generally in the POC stage, what we'll do is we'll take one or two critical business scenarios, whatever that we identified in the risk assessment stage, and we'll try to record the flows. We'll try to create the scripts, okay, and we'll try to execute that particular scripts, whatever that we created, and finally we'll also try to get the results out of that. Okay, we'll take one like two or three flows, and we are going to do the same performance testing process, whatever that we are going to do. Okay, but with multiple tools here. We'll do it with Load Runner, we'll do it with JMeter, we'll do it with NeoLoad and some other tools, whatever that is there, right? So that we'll do it in the POC stage. And also we'll prepare one document, that is POC document. And in that document, we are going to put all that information related to which particular tools you are going to you have tested, and what is the output of each and every tool, like, and which particular tool is better, okay, in terms of your testing part, like for this particular application. So that information you're going to put it here in the POC document. Some people, they will do it after gathering the NFR. Okay, some people, they'll do it immediately after the risk assessment stage, right? But at the end of the day, in this document, you're going to provide the comparison of all the tools along with the pros and cons of each tool. So finally, based on this particular POC output or POC document, your client is going to finalize the tool, which tool he wants to go with. If he is not ready to put some to purchase the license, or he put some amount for the license, then obviously he'll go for the free tool. And out of all the free tools that are available in market, we know JMeter is the most popular tool. Okay, so in our case, we can consider that as JMeter, right? But if the client is okay to go with this license tools, then he may choose like either load runner or neo load based on the license and based on the advantages that we are going to mention here. Okay, so this is what generally that is going to happen in the POC stage. Any questions till now? Someone raised hand, Pravalika, I think. Pravalika, is your question answered, or is it still there? Okay, thank you. So this is what the POC stage is, right? So in our case, like let us assume like after risk assessment stage, we have done some POC, right? And here the tool got finalized is JMeter, right? Next, immediately the next stage will come into the picture is NFR gathering, right? So NFR means non-functional requirement gathering. So here we are going to ask some questions. We'll prepare one document. Either that document will be, most of the companies it will be in Excel format. Some companies they will follow like Word format also. In that document, we are going to put all the questions which are related to the application, which are related to the users, which are related to the infrastructure, which are related to which type of application we want to test it. If we want to test it, web application and as well as mobile application, so those particular related requirements we are going to gather from the client, and we'll document it in a proper way. So that gathering part we are going to call it as the non-functional requirement gathering here. We have a separate session for this going forward. I'll show you like real-time document also, like how we are going to prepare and what are all the questions that we are going to ask related to this NFR going forward. For each and every stage, we'll prepare one document. We'll prepare one document for risk assessment. We'll prepare one document for POC. We'll prepare one document for NFR. And once the NFR document got developed or prepared, then the next stage is the test planning stage. Here, obviously, all of you know like test plan document is going to prepared, right? So what are the information that we gathered here? So based on that information, test plan document is going to be developed, and in that we are going to provide the project outline as well as the objective, okay, and the tool selection information here, and also the resource allocation information and the timelines and other things we'll provide it. We'll put it over here in the test plan document. Entry criteria, exit criteria, a lot of things we'll put it over here in the test plan document stage. So once the test plan got prepared, right, then immediately as a next step, what we'll do, we'll directly jump into the testing, or do we need to do some other things in the middle? Yeah, that is the test scripting is the next stage. But before doing the scripting and after creating the test plan, we need to do one more thing. We need to develop one more document called NFR, sorry, not NFR, uh, sorry, TFD. One second, let me clear this. We need to create one more document called TFD, that is traversal flow document. Okay. How many of you know like this TFD document? You may call it with a different name, but what is TFD means? We are going to keep all the scenarios, okay, along with the traversal steps here in this document. So already whatever the critical business scenarios that we identified, right? For those critical business scenarios, we need to create one document. In that, for each and every scenario, what are all the different steps that are transactions that we are going to do it, right? And also we are going to add few more things like what is the expected user load for each and every flow, okay, or else what is the transactions per hour, peak transactions per hour, or average transactions per hour, right? How much TPH we need to achieve, what is the SLA, okay, for in terms of response time, what is the those things, right? Those things for each and every transaction we can put it in the traversal flow document. So this document, once this document got finalized, right, then as a next step, we are going to do the test scripting part. And in the test scripting stage, we are going to use the tool. Okay, we are going to use the tool. In our case, we are going to use the JMeter tool here in the test scripting stage. With the help of the JMeter tool, we are going to create the scripts for the flows, whatever that is there in the traversal flow document. We need to follow the same steps. Okay, whatever that we have mentioned here. Why? Because this particular traversal flow document, once after preparing, right, you need to take approval from your manager, like as well as from your team lead. So once they approve that, you need to follow the same flow, okay, and you need to create the scripts for the same flows. If anything is changing, you need to change it as a new version, and you need to keep it as a new version, and you need to update the document every time. Okay, every document we should do it in the same way. That is almost all possible, right? In each and every company, we all follow the same process, right? In the test scripting stage, obviously, we are going to take help of the performance tool, whether it may be the JMeter or load runner or neoload, according to the tool, okay, that got confirmed in the POC stage. We'll take help of that particular tool, and we are going to create the scripts, as well as we are going to do the setup, okay, user simulation setup and other things in the test scripting stage. In the test scripting stage, especially whatever may be the tool, what is the first step that we are going to do in the test scripting stage? We are going to record, okay, we are going to record the flow, and then we are going to enhance, okay, we are going to do some enhancements And as a last step, we are going to validate, right? We are going to validate the flows, whatever that created. So these are the three major things that we are going to do as a part of test scripting. Okay. So with the help of the tool, we are going to record the flow, and then we'll remove all the unwanted transactions or requests that got recorded. And once the script got completely fresh, right? And then we are going to start our enhancements, script enhancements. Once the script has enhancements got completed, then we'll jump into the validation part. We'll validate it with multiple iterations and with multiple users, and we'll verify whether our script is working fine as expected or not. That is what we'll do here as a part of test scripting. So once the test scripting part is done, right, immediately we'll jump into the next stage, that is the workload modeling stage. So what we'll do in the workload modeling stage? Anyone? We'll calculate pacing not according to the number of users. Yeah, sometimes according to the number of users, yeah. But most of the times ba based on the TPH, transactions per hour that we need to achieve. Okay, so here in the workload modeling stage, we are going to calculate the pacing. That is what the main intention here. Okay, so what is pacing? Pacing is nothing but it's a time gap between the iterations. So time gap between the iterations means, let us take one user registration as a flow. Okay, so what the user will do, first step, he's going to launch the application. And as a second step, he'll click on the register button, right? And as a third step, uh, he'll enter the details and he's going to click on sign up, right? And as a fourth step, he's going to log in into the application just to verify whether the user got signed in or signed up or not successfully, right? And finally, he's going to do the logout. Okay, these are the 5 different transactions he's going to perform. Okay, these are the 5 different transactions he's going to perform. Okay, in order to do the user registration flow. So this entire entire 5 transactions, if he's going to execute once, we are going to call it as one iteration. We are going to call it as one iteration, right? So again, after doing the first iteration, if he's going to execute it for the same 5 transactions for the second time, that is called second iteration, right? So one iteration, if we are completing, means one user registration is going to happen successfully. So second iteration, if we are completing, means second user registration is also happened. So whatever the time gap that is there in between the first iteration and second iteration, we are going to call it as pacing. That time gap, we are going to call it as pacing. So this pacing value is very, very important. Why? Because the client will provide the TPH for us, transactions per hour for us. So how many times we need to execute this user registration flow within 1 hour. That is going to be provided by the client. So we need to reach that particular count. We need to approximately or 100% we need to reach that count, or at least approximately plus or minus 5 or 10 or here and there, right? But in order to reach that count, what we need to do is we need to calculate the pacing. If we calculate the pacing in a proper way, okay, if the pacing value is proper, then only we will reach this TPH. Otherwise, it is not possible. Okay, so in the workload modeling stage, we are going to do that with the help of the formula called Little's law. Okay, so on a high level, this is what we'll do in the workload modeling stage. We'll have a separate session for this. We'll see what are all the ways that we can calculate the pacing value. Okay, with the help of Little's law formula. And once the pacing got calculated successfully, we need to keep that in the scripts, that pacing value. And finally, we'll jump into the next stage, that is the test execution and result analysis stage, wherein we are going to execute different types of performance tests like load test, stress test, endurance test, spike test, and then we'll collect the metrics. Okay. And finally, we are going to analyze the result, and we'll try to understand the bottlenecks. What are the bottlenecks in our application and how to resolve that. Also, we'll work with the developers and we'll try to resolve that issues also. And once if everything is good, okay, all the tests went well and there are no bottlenecks, finally we'll go to the test reporting stage. Here we are going to create the reports, okay, test reports, and we are going to submit this report to the client, and we'll get the test closure part from the client. That is the final approval from the client. So this is what we'll do as a part of the performance testing life cycle. Any questions or any concerns here? Most of you maybe know this also, but the first stage and the POC stage, for some members, it may be new. Remaining stages, it is same. Okay. So this with this part, like I just want to conclude this theory part, whatever the theory part which I want to tell you today. So I just want to stop it here, right? So let's quickly jump into the course content and we'll try to understand what are the topics that I'm going to cover as a part of this training. Okay, most of you are most interested on that part, right? So let's quickly jump over there and we'll see. Before that, any questions, please feel free to ask. If not, we'll jump over there. Okay. So understanding that as no, let's quickly jump to the course content part. So this course, right, I'm planning to, this is the 5 week blueprint which I have given, but it may go up to 6 weeks as as I'm planning to add Azure load testing and GitHub related concepts and few other important concepts here. Okay, so in this particular course content, whatever that I'm showing right now, Azure load testing topic I didn't add it. Okay, I missed to add that I didn't got time, frankly, from last 2 days. I thought of adding it as the 6th week, but I didn't got chance to add it. But I'll provide you the updated sheet. Okay, so going forward. But for now, let's try to see what exactly the plan is. Okay, so the total course duration is approximately like 6 to 7 weeks, I can say. It will be like 60 hours. I'm planning around 60 hours, 60 to 65. It may go up to 70 also. Okay. I just want to go from scratch onwards again. So few people are new to JMeter. Few people they started learning JMeter right now. So I just want to go it from the scratch. But that whole content got divided into 6 weeks modules or 6 different modules you can say here. Okay, sixth module I am going to add most probably by tomorrow. But let's start understanding like the week wise pattern what that I'm trying to cover. Okay. So this particular sessions, I'm just planning to go in a real time way, like how we are doing the work in our company. I'm just planning to go in the same way. So that is the reason why on the week one, right? So I'm just like my goal is to establish like foundational performance testing process. We need to understand what are our goals, what are the metrics that we need to look into, okay, and what are the expectations from the stakeholders. Okay, so the day one starts with the kickoff meeting. It's a again. So in general, the product owners, developers, QA leads, they are going to sit right along with the business analyst to understand the business objectives. Right. In the same way, I'll introduce you the application. Right. I'll give you some high level overview of the application. Right, and we'll discuss about few points what are the response time SLAs, and what exactly the number of users that we want to test with, what is the targeted TPH, right? As client is not there, okay, we are the clients and we are the testers for this particular training part. So we'll do all those things. Okay, we'll do all those things and we'll try to uh, get all the basic details that are required over here, right? And once after doing that, we'll identify the critical workflows, right? As a part of risk assessment stage, right? We'll do that anyhow. So we'll identify which particular flows are critical, and we are going to document the user stories also. Okay, we'll do the user stories also as a part of this uh, second day. Okay, as a part of second day, we'll try to identify what are all the flows that we can we can test with that particular application which I'm going to show. Okay, and we'll accordingly based on that we'll divide that into different user stories, and we'll try to work on those user stories. Okay, and on the third day we'll go with the SLA and KPIs discussion. Okay, that means NFR gathering part, you can say. Okay, we can start doing the NFR part over here in the third day. Okay, we'll gather all the information and we'll try to understand the NFR stage, what are all the questions that we have, and how to prepare the documents along with these SLAs and KPIs. Okay, we'll do all those things as a part of day three. And as a part of day four, we'll jump into the test strategy part. Okay, we'll try to create the test plan, okay, based on the NFR, and we'll try to cover the POC also as a part of day four. Okay, so first we'll do the POC and then we'll prepare the test plan, and we'll prepare one document with all the contents that are there that need to be added in the test plan. Okay, that we will do on day four. So these things we are going to do it on one application. Okay, on the same application and the same application we are going to test it going forward also. Okay, and on day four, right, we'll finalize the test plan, and we are going to check our documents on a proper way, whether it is there in the proper way or not, and we'll prepare the sorry, test traversal flow document also. Okay, on the day five. We'll prepare the traversal flow document for the flows, whatever that we identified on the day five. Finally, like on the day six, right? So we'll divide the flows among the members who are going to join. Okay, two major flows, right? Two or three major flows. I'm going to explain along with the scripting part, and remaining flows we'll divide among ourselves, and we are going to work on those flows, and we'll try to push all those flows to the GitHub repository. Okay, as a part of this batch, right, this particular batch, I'm just planning to add GitHub related concepts also. So I'll create one repository, and whatever the user stories are the flows that we are going to divide it, right? So you guys need to work on those flows, and you need to or submit that particular scripts to me so that I can push all those things to the repository, or you can do it also from your end. Okay, so we'll do that thing. Okay, so we'll do that thing over day six, right? Day six, I'll give you some basic idea of Git, right? We'll try to install the Git on your machines, and we'll try to pull the repo, and I'll show you what how we need to upload it and other things on day six. Okay, and finally on day seven, we'll review everything. Okay, what are the documents that we prepared, and we'll come to one conclusion whether we'll follow the same process or any changes are required. We'll do it on that day, right? So this is what the first week plan is. Any questions or any suggestions, please feel free to give. If I'm missing anything, please let me know. I just want to go with the same flow like how we are doing our project, right? In our companies, right? So in the same way, I just want to plan this training session also. So that's the reason. Again, I can't bring all the Jira and other things here. So again, it will take time to do all those things, and the course will be more lengthy if I bring all those things. So whatever that is possible, I'm just going with that, and whatever that is required also, especially, right? So this is what the day one part is. Sorry, week one part is. Okay. Coming to week two, I'm just planning to do the environment setup, okay, and the script development. So as a part of environment setup, right, we are going to configure the environment. So what I'll do is I'll show you how we are going to deploy one application on our local. Why? Because I just don't want to put load on the application which is online. Okay, so that is the reason why I just want to show you how we are going to deploy the application on your local in IIS server. So Internet Information Services Manager. So I have one .NET application, so NOP Commerce application. So that NOP Commerce application, I'll show you how we are going to install it on your local and how you can run that NOP Commerce application. Okay. Session is for, I scheduled it for only 1 hour, so that's the reason why it got disconnected. Yeah. Thanks for joining back. Okay. Let's wait for 1 minute and then I'll continue with the course content. In the meantime, any questions or any concerns, please feel free to ask. Oh, is it same for everyone? Others, can you please confirm? Is my voice low? Sorry? Okay. Are you using any headset or Bluetooth? Please check your sound. Why? Because I'm using Jabra headset. Uh, it's actually good one, so that's the reason I'm confused. Yeah, please check once. Yeah, we'll come to that. Okay, okay, let's continue. Okay, let's continue. And if you still hear my voice very low, please let me know. Okay, I'm talking very loudly and my sound is also good. Okay. Okay, as a part of second week, right, I'll just start with the staging environment setup. As I mentioned, I'm going to show you how we are going to deploy your application which you want to test, okay, on your local with the help of IIS Manager. So this is a .NET based application. So I'll show you how to deploy it and how to create the database for this, okay, by installing SQL Server, okay, and also how you are going to connect your application with the database and how you are going to host it on your local. So this part I'm going to cover it as a part of day 8, and also I'll show you how to install the Dynatrace on your local. Okay, maybe I may not cover this on day 8. Why? Because we are going to have 15 days license only, free license only for Dynatrace. So that's the reason why we'll do it once after the scripting part and workload modeling part is done. Okay. At that time, we will install the Dynatrace and we'll start integrating Dynatrace to our application. Sorry, to our scripts. Okay. That we'll do it once after the workload modeling part. But on day 8, I'm going to introduce you how you are going to install your application as well as database and how we are going to configure it. And on the day 9, I'm going to start the JMeter tool. So I'll start from how we are going to install the JMeter and what are the setups that we need to do as a part of this installation process. And we'll see some basic JMeter introduction on day 9. And on day 10 onwards, we'll start our scripting part. I'll explain you how we are going to record the scripts, and that entire week we are going to do the scripting only. Remaining week, okay, remaining week we are going to do the scripting, and we'll see how we are going to do the enhancements, how we are going to record the flow, how we are going to do the enhancements, and how we need to validate the scripts. Okay, the major part we'll cover it in that week. Okay, that entire week is completely related to scripting. And also when it comes to the third week, in the third week also, we'll do the scripting only. Okay, and we'll discuss about the correlation techniques. And again, most of you already know the basic correlation part, but I'll tell you I'll discuss about the advanced correlation topics, whatever that we need to know in order to crack one interview or in order to work more happily. Okay, uh, going forward, right? I'll discuss all those key techniques, okay, which is related to correlation, as well as we'll discuss about the parameterization part. Like we have advanced parameterization options that are available in CSV dataset config. Okay, we'll discuss about those options also as a part of day 16. Okay, and as a part of day 17, I will introduce the bean shell as well as JSR 223 scripting. Okay, and what are the logics that we need to add, okay, and how we will write the code, and what are the different elements, okay, which are related to bean shell and which are related to JSR 223, we will use it. Those things I'll cover on day 17. And on day 18, I'll discuss about the controllers. We have a separate session on controllers. I'll take like each and every controller and I'll explain that each and every controller with the help of one example, so that it will be more useful for you. Like with the help of like real time example. In real time, we need to know how we need to use these controllers for sure. So most of the questions also related to JMeter will come on the controllers itself. So that's the reason why I'll take one separate session and I'll explain each and every controller with an example over here. And coming to the next day, like day 19, we are going to just refine our scripts, and we'll see if any other new flows we need to add. Those kind of things we'll discuss on day 19. And on day 20, we are going to finalize the scripts and we are going to create the test suite. Okay, and we are going to take one or execute one baseline test. Okay, and we'll take a note of all the values, okay, on the baseline testing, and we'll keep it aside. And on the day 21, we'll review all the scripts and we'll push it to the GitHub repository. Going forward, we can take it from there. Okay, if any doubts or other things, we are going to get clarified on that particular day. And on the week 3, we'll start our testing part. Okay, so we'll run one baseline test with a minimal user load, and once after completing that, we'll go ahead and we'll start doing the load test with some users. So here I'm just mentioning like 500 to 1000 users based on the setup. Okay, based on the resource usage, we'll plan it accordingly. Okay, this users count, okay, will change. It may not be same. We may go somewhat lesser load only. Okay, like up to 150 to 200. Okay, why? Because I have one more machine, okay, which is like a desktop machine on my home. So I'll use that and I'll explain you how we are going to connect, like how we'll use the master slave concept, that is the distributed testing, how we can do it. I'll explain it over there. And along with that, we'll try to run one stress test. Okay. And we'll try to run one spike test also. And we'll see how your application is behaving during that process. And all these test executions, right? By doing all these test executions, we are going to integrate the Dynatrace. Okay, before this test execution itself, we will integrate our Dynatrace. Okay, and we'll run the test and we'll see. We'll monitor the test during the test process execution process as well as after completing the test execution process on the Dynatrace. And we'll try to identify the issues also or the bottlenecks also from the Dynatrace itself after executing all these tests. Okay. So endurance test, as I mentioned, like we can do that, but I may not run the test. I'll explain you the setup. Okay, I'll run the test, but uh, I'll run the test post this one. I can run the test for one like 2 hours max. Okay, why? Because I don't have that much of resources, frankly speaking. So I'll run like some 2 hours test and we'll try to understand if we are getting any issues during that particular test. Okay, any memory leaks are happening or not. We'll try to understand that. Okay, I may not show you the test execution process. Why? Because we can't continuously connect for 2 hours and test it, right? So I'll run the test and I'll show you the result here. But I'll explain you how to do the setup and other things. We'll do that. Okay. And finally, once after the tests are done, right, we'll review the results and we'll generate the reports. Okay. And we'll try to review the results and we'll get the feedback from everyone. Okay, based on this one. So as a part of like week 5, I'll just go with the web services concept. Okay, REST APIs, SOAP APIs, we'll test it. And also I'll discuss about the database testing. Okay, how we are going to integrate our JMeter with DB and how we'll run the test. Okay, we'll see. I'll try to bring like a few queries. Okay, without joins and without this one, right? Proper indexing. Okay, so first we'll execute that and we'll try to understand how the response times are, and then we'll execute the queries with joins and with indexes. Okay, and then we'll see the difference, how the response time at that time. Right, obviously we'll see some difference. So we'll try to test those kind of things in this particular stage, like database performance testing part. After that, I'll explain you the Influx DB and Grafana integration with JMeter. So here, I just want to do this with Docker. Okay, I just want to introduce the Docker concept also here. So in the Docker, how we are going to install this one and how we will do that, we'll explain in here on day 31. Okay, and on day 32, we'll go ahead with the distributed testing concept. Okay, so in the distributed testing, I'll show you how we can connect with the remote desktop. Okay, I have one more, as I mentioned, I have one more machine. I'll connect to that machine and I'll trigger the test. Okay, and I'll show you the test execution process, like distributed test execution process. Ignore this. Okay, it's not there. Okay, so we'll do that on the day 32. And on the day 33, like we'll again review the results and other things on day 33. And on, sorry, yeah, one day and on day 34, right, we can do any other tests if we want, and we can analyze the systems, right? And on day 35 we'll finally review and discuss the results related to these particular test executions. Okay, finally I just want to run one particular test by incorporating all these things. Like I just want to run a distributed testing. Okay, and I want to run one test, okay, wherein I can show you the data in the InfluxDB and Grafana, everything, right? I just want to cover everything and we'll discuss and we'll review that particular results also. Okay, this is what the 5 week plan. And on the 6th week, I'm going to cover the BlazeMeter load testing. Okay, how we are going to execute the test on BlazeMeter. And also I'm going to cover the Azure load testing, like how we'll create the account in Azure and how we'll use the Azure load testing service. Okay, and also we'll try to deploy one small API related thing on Azure App Service. Okay, so and we'll try to integrate that app service with our Azure load testing, and we'll try to monitor the client side as well as the server side metrics related to that. And also we'll try to see the Jenkins part. Okay, how we are going to integrate, how we need to integrate Jenkins with JMeter, and we'll create the freestyle project as well as we'll create one pipeline project also. Okay, and we'll try to pull the repository from the GitHub. Okay, we'll integrate our Jenkins with GitHub. Okay, and we'll try to pull the repository from the GitHub while the test execution process is going on with the Jenkins. Okay, and we'll try to create the pipeline in that way. Okay, which will pull the data from the GitHub first, and then it is going to start the test execution process. We'll create in that way. Okay, so these are the different topics which I'm going to cover as a part of this training. Any questions or any concerns related to? the content, please feel free to let me know.